and just mention from which country you are connected. And I'm talking to you from Spain, from Madrid. Wow, from Egypt. Awesome. What is your name from Egypt? Because we can see only the reference of the phone you're using. Ala. Hi, Lisa. Where are you from, Lisa? Where are you connecting from? From Suriname too. Wow. Amazing. Ah, Clemento from Malaysia. Ah, my biggest fan, and I'm yours. Your biggest fan too. Thank you for being here from Malaysia. I'm from Dubai. Inner beauty. Wow. I love that. From Dubai. I love Dubai. I love Malaysia. I don't know Suriname. I don't know Egypt. Pending places to go and enjoy. I think Lawrence Richard is speaking, but you are muted. I don't know if you can unmute yourself.
There.
Ah, yes, yes, yeah.
Good.
Where
are you now, Emily?
Madrid, Spain.
Right.
Okay. And you are
in Dubai.
In Dubai. Okay,
in
awesome.
Dubai.
Wow, yeah. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so now it's 2 o'clock. Let us start. Let us honor all of you, your time, and we'll let the other colleagues getting on board.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I will just ask all of you to mute yourself.
Yes.
Keep the video because I think we're having great connection. So that's beautiful. Also seeing each other, and I would like to start with a question. How has COVID-19 affected you? Which areas of your life it has impacted? Since the beginning of this crisis, let's say in the 3 past months, I'm hearing and working with a lot of people who experiment physical suffering, psychological suffering, economic suffering, emotional suffering in all parts of the world. You know, in poor communities, in privileged communities, unemployed people, leaders, professionals. This is a truly global crisis that affects and has come onto us like a tsunami, quite unprepared, where at least we were not expecting it. And it has affected all the different areas of our life in different levels. So hello, my name is Amélie, and I want to share with you in this hour that we have together, what I've learned in countries at war, in countries that are regularly affected by natural disasters, in countries suffering from extreme poverty, of working with these communities, working with the governments, working with the organizations, local and international, in crisis management, crisis recovery, championing disaster risk reduction, and in strengthening the resilience, this inner power that we have to go through the crisis and transform the crisis actually in something that serves our purpose, that serves our lives, and that serves our businesses. I'm speaking, so as I mentioned, to the first arrive from Madrid, Spain. I've been living there for the last 1 year and a half. And before that, I've been in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America, in the Caribbean. So before I dive into our topic, there are two things I would like to do. Is one, extend a great big thank you and lots of gratitude to the Pranic Healing Foundation and the Inner Studies Institute, because it's there are two reasons why it's very important for me to extend this gratitude and to share it with you. It's first this oneness project. I don't know if you've attended the previous chats. I love this concept of oneness. You know, when I read oneness and I saw about this project, the oneness project, and the way it's designed and implemented by the Pranic Healing and the Inner Studies Institute, it reminded me a quote by Rumi, the Persian poet, that says, "Beyond wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." And that's really what I think that the world is craving for. And I think many of us are trying to work on is how can we meet ourselves in a place beyond right doing, wrongdoing, beyond my perspective, your perspective, beyond my labeling, your labeling, and be in this field. And that's what for me means oneness. So that's why I feel very honored to be part of this project. And I would like to invite you to go in the YouTube page of Pranic Healing Foundation and look at all the talks really on different topics and so precious tools. The second reason why I feel very grateful is I'm talking about crisis. I mean, I'm a crisis expert, and I've noticed I studied Pranic Healing. I started studying Pranic Healing and knowing Pranic Healers and Arhatic Yoga 15 years back. And actually, not 15, 13 years back. And it started in a moment of crisis in my life. And I noticed how both Pranic Healers, Pranic Healing knowledge in Arhatic Yoga as are essential resources for me when there's crisis. So for me, this invitation that was extended to me, it's also a way actually to give back. It's a very little things, but I would like to, that's a way also for me to, of course, to give to all of you what I know, what I've learned from others, and what I've experienced myself, but also for Inner Studies saying, okay, well, for the Institute and the Foundation to express that, to give a little, because each time I have a crisis, I call Pranic Healers. Each time I have a crisis, I go back to the teachings. So, okay, let me give my little contribution. And let me welcome all of you. I mean, it's exciting. There are people from Latin America, from Europe, from Asia, from Middle East. I mean, it's just amazing. Truly, we spoke about COVID as a global crisis, but here this oneness project, and the oneness is about globality also. And it's truly a global audience. I feel very excited about it. I see in who is online, I see Pranic Healers, I see Arhatic Yogi, and I see also people who may have never heard about Pranic Healing or Arhatic Yoga. And I love that because this is oneness also, and this is how we give to each other. So to start, this talk, the idea is 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Well, 40 minutes, I'm going to be talking and sharing what I want to share with you today. And then after we'll have a space for questions, okay, reactions, comments. And so what I would suggest is to type in the chat your reactions, your comments, well, the chat, let's make it alive. You are muted for practical reasons, but we're not going to let ourselves be cut into the interaction. So use the chat during the talk as you feel. Write your questions so that will be easier at the end to take the questions. We'll gain time. I will, what I suggested, I will read the questions so that we go quicker and yes, and use it as a living instrument. If it's not with the voice, it's with the writing. Sounds good? Yeah. Awesome. Hi, Lydie from Paris. Amazing. Okay. In the pranic healers and Harhatic yogi are used to that, the ones who hear. But for other people, we always start these moments that are at the end, moments of introspection and moments of reflection and gaining tools. We always start by a moment of silence. Some, depending on the belief or the spiritual practice, it's called or invocation or prayer or gratitude. And I think someone is unmuted. Can you just check if you mute? I think Clement, if you can mute yourself. Thank you. Beautiful. So we start with this one moment of we're going to reconnect with ourselves. We're going to be grateful. We're going to just calm the mind. Okay. So you please close your eyes and put yourself comfortable. And I'm going to invite you to follow a little gratitude invocation moment, and then you choose the words that resonates to your system of belief and to what feels right now. So close your eyes, you take you breathe deeply to the supreme energy, whether I call it God, the universe, the Mother Earth, the cosmos, to the highest part of myself, to all the spiritual teachers and guides that I have had in my life, to those I go to for advice, for guidance, for resources, for tools. I would like to extend my gratitude, and I would like also to extend gratitude to myself for showing up here in this call, in this talk, for giving myself this time, for myself to grow as a better person, for myself to improve the different areas of my life, and for myself to become a bigger and better contributor to my communities, to my company, and to the world. I would like you now, still with the closed eyes, just ask yourself, what is that you want at individual level, your individual agenda for this talk? What do you need to get out of that? What is that you want? This one thing, two things that are really important for you to get out of this talk. Okay, now you can open your eyes with a smile, connected with this gratitude, this intention of yours. I love the quotes, and there's this American baseball coach. He passed away a couple of years back, but he was very famous because he seems, I don't know anything about American baseball, but he seems he was a very great coach. And in addition to that, he was very famous for his quotes. He would say these things that at the first level would seem a little absurd. I mean, it's a little weird. And then when you would stop and really read it or listen to it, say, there's quite a bit of wisdom in it. And there's one that's my favorite one is if you don't know where you are going, you might end up somewhere else. So you say, of course, if I take my car, I don't know where I'm going, I'm not going to end up anywhere. If I take the metro, I take the bicycle, I'm not going to end up anywhere. And what about the other vehicles that we have, like our life? In the morning, do we know where we're going? Where we want to reach at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year? Often we don't not connect. We go to a meeting, we go to a training, we go to a session. Yeah, we like the topic, but do we know where we want to be at the end of this moment? And that's very important to take this habit, because that makes us in the driving seat, not in the passenger seat receiving, but it makes us in the driving seat where we decide where we want to go. And of course, for that, we need a car, we need a steering wheel, we need a path, we need all that. So we need all these resources, but we are in the driving seat. Okay, so that's part also of the empowerment. And that's why that was the first quote, the second, because I've already shared one from Rumi. What I want to talk to you with, I want to give you the key to crisis management and recovery that I learned from war zones. I want to give you 3 key techniques to strengthen your resilience at personal, team, and company levels. When I say personal, team, and company levels, I mean, it's maybe you're in an organization that is not a company or whatever, but what I want to say is that all these tools, you work them first with yourself, and then after you go to your team and you work them with them, and then at higher level in your company or in your community, in your group. Okay. And the third point I want to see with you is how to manage uncertainty. And actually not only manage uncertainty, but it's converting it in your best ally. I mean, your fire. Okay. Key to crisis management. I start by your question. How will you speak of COVID-19, let's say in 20 years? So me, I will say to my grandchildren, Granny, she was there confined, and this happened, this was hard, this was this. I will add a little of exaggeration, because it will be in the history books. So I'll be so proud that a piece of my history is in the history books. So it's what are you going to say in 20 years? And not even 20 years, in 10 years, in 5 years, in 3 years. How are you going to speak about COVID? You're going to speak about COVID as it is. And we're all going to speak about COVID the same way. I mean, with all different stories and different impact and different tonalities and different languages and different everything. But there's one common thing between all of us. We will talk about COVID as what it is. It's an event. It's an event in our life. It's a circumstance. Yes, it's brutal. Yes, it's overwhelming. Yes, it has come unexpected. Yes, it has affected the different areas of our lives. Yes, it's a crisis. It's challenging like any crisis. But didn't you have crisis in your life? Yes, smaller, but you had this crisis. And what are these crises today for you? Events, moments of life. The same is COVID. In few months, in 1 year, let's say, COVID is finished. Maybe we have another crisis and another event that comes, that has another name. So it's very essential to bring back COVID. And I mention here COVID because we're in the middle of it, so that we can connect with what it means. But it's the same for any crisis, a disease in your life, a loss, in whatever other crisis. When I recently was speaking on that topic, and one in Spain tell me in the climate change, Because climate change for the moment, I mean, many of you countries who are represented here, you already suffer it. And it's coming to also the Western world, okay, in a big way. So these crises are circumstances. We need to keep the driving seat of our car, of our life and our businesses. And I will tell you how I learned that. I noticed that, you know, a couple of years back, I was in Afghanistan. It was a short mission. I was there to work with senior civil servants of government who were women and members of parliament. So we were, it was a training on resilient leadership through public speaking, through emotional intelligence. And, you know, so we were working, so because of the security situation, we were outside Kabul. We were in a guest house that was a bunker, I mean, with guys at the entrance with Kalashnikov, because these women first are targets because they're members of the government, they're targets of the Taliban. And because also we were a group of foreigners coming for the training. So, I mean, ideal to get some blood. So they put us outside Kabul, very protected. So we were sort of, it was my first experience of confinement, but it was during 1 week we were confined in this bunker. So we had the training during the day, and around 5 o'clock we would just gather in the terrace of the guest house, and they have this like these benches where you have your food and your tea, and you remove the shoes and you sit cross legs and blah 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 blah. What were we talking about? We were talking about food. We were talking about our respective countries, villages. We were talking about clothes. We were talking about politics, Afghan politics, world politics. We talk also about religion. We talked about books, culture. We talk about peace. We're not talking about the war all day. We were not talking about the war. And we were here because of the war. We were united because of the war, but we were not speaking about the war. The only moments we were talking about the war is when they started sharing, for example, these moments when the Taliban arrived in the country, what changed their life, but we were not talking technically about the war. We were talking about life, about change, about peace, about dreams, about vision. The only moment I can tell you I heard about the war is because they bombs every day in Kabul. So they would receive a WhatsApp that there's been a bomb in the area of these ministries. So they would get on their WhatsApp to check how's the family, how the colleagues. And when they had this information, it was about what do I move forward to? Okay, so this is because war was the circumstance. So war, of course, impacted the way we were doing things, but they didn't change who people were, what people would dream of, and that we are the ones deciding on our lives. And on that one, it reminded me then when I was working in Colombia. So I'm going to speak, it's 20 years back, because 20 years back, the conflict was at its peak in Colombia. And I lived 3 years there. And I noticed the same. It means I was working then humanitarian project because of the war. Actually, I came first for the earthquake and after the war. And my team was working with me because of the war. But we would not talk of the war. We would look at what are the trends, of course, of the conflict. So we can adapt our security measures, adapt the humanitarian projects to the needs, adapt whatever. So it was a context, a circumstance that impacts the how we do things. But it didn't change our what. It didn't change our why we were here and what we wanted to create through who we are and what we do. So COVID-19 is a circumstance. And that's really important to remind you. So when you feel overwhelmed and saying like COVID all day, so then choose what you read, choose what you listen to. Because if you switch on the TV here, it's COVID all day. You take a newspaper, it's COVID all day. And it's all the sensational thing. Né? So the things that really contaminates you and do not give you concrete information that you need to assess your context and take decisions on how you're going to move forward, on your how for your projects, your life, and your etc. So really make selection of what you read, what you listen to, who you listen to, and how you want to receive it. That's really important. Remember, COVID-19 will be finished in few months. So what? We're not going to let every circumstance that's going to come to us, expected or unexpected, take the lead on what we are and why we here on this earth. Okay, so let's keep always this driving seat. And I'm going to give you technique for these moments of when emotions are piling up. We're going to see this. It's a big component of resilience. And you know, when you feel overwhelmed, think of that question. Think, okay, and you write it. I love writing, you know, because when you write, you remove all what is, you know, I don't know if you're the specialist or that. I'm very good at that. You know, blah, blah, thinking of something, and bang, you give it runs and runs and runs and runs. One great technique is get it on a paper. Well, me, I say paper and pen because I'm the generation of that. If you're the generation of taking a tab, laptop, iPad, whatever, do that. Just get it out of here. And there's two advantages of it. First, you get it out of here, and so there's more place here. Or at least there's a little calmness, you know, and there's place for new things to come in. And the second thing I love about getting things written is because then after you look at it with the eyes, it's another perspective. It's another perspective. I'm looking at it with the eyes. It creates a lot of detachment. And when it's out of there, because here when it's too much in there, it marinates and it's like becomes a little muddy. Huh? So when you have it, puff, then something else comes, puff. So write and answer this question. How will I speak about COVID at 3 years? And write it. How do you want? And I would say first question, second question, or maybe that question only. How do you want to speak about COVID in 3 years' time? What do you want to say about COVID-19? Your experience, the bad, the good, how you came out of that, stronger, more resilient, more inspired. Okay. Second point, 3 techniques to strengthen your resilience. What is resilience? You know, I love etymology of words. I mean, I'm not an expert, not at all, but I love etymology because the origin of the word tells you, well, it gives you a lot of insights of where it's coming from, what is the intention of the word. And also when we've transformed the word, the original sense, the original meaning of the word, it's very interesting because it tells you a lot about the culture, about what we want to say and everything. So that's really exciting. So resilience, it comes actually it comes more than Latin, but we're going to focus on the Latin. It's resalire, which is bouncing. And here we have a lot of people on the call from the Philippines. I was blessed to meet one of the directors of your civil protection last year in a disaster management conference in India. And this woman, I mean, she was amazing. She gave an amazing talk, very inspiring and really impressed by the work that was being done in Philippines. And she said, you know, for me, resilience, we tend to say bouncing back. So resilience for me is not bouncing back to where we were, because where we were does not exist anymore. But it's bouncing forward. How do I use this resalire, this resilience, this bouncing process to move forward? So that's here I'm going, and that's what we work in crisis management. nowadays, it's really at looking, how do we build back better? How do we bounce forward? How do we make that this crisis, because crises are multiplying. I mean, many of you, Philippines, you experience it in the first place, and I think Suriname also, and many of the countries here with this climate change, the crises are multiplying. I was in December in Djibouti. They were telling me there's a part of the country that in their local language they used to call them green, the green part. And nowadays, because they had milk cows, it was all green, and they were producing milk and everything. And nowadays, the teachers in the school, in the morning, they have to remove the sand every morning, the sand from the desks of the children in 20 years because of climate change. And what has become a desert has floods every 2 months. So crisis now, before we used to have a crisis every 5 years, every 2 years, it was the worst. Now we have crisis all the time. And with COVID, the other parts of the country that were living in a bubble of that crises were only very specific and affecting only in a part, like the Western world. I'm speaking here from Spain, and they've not seen a crisis like in Europe since the Second World War. So actually, nobody has lived a crisis that affects everyone in all areas of the life. So it's very important that we develop this resilience, because resilience is a muscle. You know, it's like we've all experienced, be honest, few years, a few months without going to the gym, for example, not moving the butts from the confinement, or even before confinement, we used to do that. And then we go back to the fitness class, and the day after we say, oh my God, I didn't know there was a muscle in this part of my body. No, it has all happened to you, no? Well, it has happened to me. But the resilience is little that. We have this muscle, we are all resilient, and we have activated our resilience in moments of our life. But what happens, maybe depending on the circumstances where we were living, and we are living, our muscle was ready for a 5 kg packet. And suddenly you send him half a ton package. So it feels if people feel what I hear for the 3 last months, people feel disempowered, feel I don't know, I don't know what to do. Amelie, tell us what to do. Tell us. We all know. We all have this resilience. The only thing is that the muscle, we need to strengthen it. And it's like the muscle, it's an exercise of practice and practice. And when there are days or there are moments that we are a little low, okay, we just continue and continue and continue. Because the COVID and this confinement and lockdown moment that we are experiencing is also a sort of bubble. And now we're deconfining, we're getting out of lockdown. I mean, in the next weeks, what's next? And here we need this muscle to be strong, because we want this muscle to take us to bounce forward. So how do we strengthen this muscle? First, a key component of resilience is emotional intelligence. And you know, the beauty of resilience is because it's not just for crisis. It's all the skills that you are developing when you are strengthening your resilience. And what we talk about the crisis, you will see that there are skills you use in the work, even in times of peace, you use in your life. And emotional intelligence, actually, it was this year, a few years back, I was reading from the World Economic Forum that they were forecasting, and by 2020, emotional intelligence would be one of the 5 most important skills required for leaders in the corporate world. And L'Oreal, the big cosmetic company, did a research. I mean, they hired a consulting firm to make big research about the importance of emotional management and emotional intelligence. And they did it, I think it was like 5-6 years back. You know what they found out? That the salespeople who had the higher level of emotional intelligence were those who were selling the most. So you remember, I mean, the older one, a little like me, 10 years back, even 15 years back, emotional intelligence was like, every time you would say emotion would cannot be. And now it has become something. And especially in this crisis, I hear a lot of leaders who tell me, you know, Amélie, before I had my meetings with the team and efficient. And now I want them to know that I care for them. I want them to know that the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I think of them. I don't know how to tell them. I don't know how to create this space. I don't know. I think I have to listen to them. And this is emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is a big topic by itself, but I would like to give you the first, I mean, the main thing that I think for this resilience is very important to work. It's the first step of everything in life. And especially you hear pranic killers in Hatha Yoga, it's awareness. And all of you, we know it. When we get aware, or we get this breakthrough, or suddenly the life sends us the breakthrough in a big way because we're still a little stubborn, not understanding it. When we have the awareness of what is happening, what is present in me, then from that space, I can move forward. I can make decisions. I can get back to the driving seat instead of being overwhelmed. I like the story of, I think you must have read it sometime, the story of the Zen master. So I read this story, the Zen master and the businessman. And this story, I've read it like to be in China or sometimes in Japan. But the story is of this big businessman. It's ancient China. And he has everything. He owns everything. He's full of money and everything. And he has decided there's one thing missing in his life. He does not know about Zen. And he wants to know he wants to know everything. So he chooses the best Zen master. And he crosses all the country to go to this Zen master. And he's fat, he's noisy, he's a little ordinary, and he sits in his chair. And he arrives in the Zen master like if it was his own home because he owns everything, and he sits there. And the Zen master is here. You imagine him like so calm, so thin, so, etherical almost. No? And he says, would you like some tea? Yes, give me some tea. And the guy's like, blah, 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 because I want you to teach me everything about Zen. And then the Zen master is here pouring tea in his cup and pouring tea, and the cup starts overflowing. And the businessman say, look, can't you see? My cup is overflowing. Look at what you're doing. So he stops pouring the tea and he says, this cup is like you. It's overflowing of what you know, what you believe, your belief, your things, it's overflowing. How do you want me to teach you Zen? How do you want to learn Zen if your cup is overflowing? And I like this story and to apply it to emotions. How can we take the driving seat and manage our emotions if we are overflowing of emotions? And it's normal to have these emotions. I mean, it's a huge crisis, and we're emotional beings. We're human beings. Emotions are normal. And in these last years, in all this personal development world, there's been a lot of things. You have to be happy, no emotions, This is a crime. No, this is not that. The real emotional intelligence is the real awareness. Is okay, what's happening to me? Oh, I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling disempowered. I'm feeling helpless. Okay. And look at this cup that is overflowing. Embrace these emotions. Cry them out. Scream that up, not on someone, But if you, now that we can start moving in some part of the world to the countryside, or screen them in your meditations in silence, find this space, ask a friend, a relative, or someone who can just listen to you without judging, without giving you the, oh, don't worry, it will pass, or you'll feel better, or you need to change. No, just ears. This active listening, we forgot so much. Just empathic and compassionate ears, just to help you to empty this cup. Because when the cup is empty, without denying, without burying these emotions, because if not, I mean, we've all experienced burying emotions. I know, very good at that, you know. So what happens? One day it comes out, volcanic eruption, and when it comes, is all the packets together. You don't want all this mud to explode in your face and in your world, and not now. So let's think about this overflowing cup and look at it. Take this time, pause, breathe, stop, use your tool. Write them down. You know, when I have something I cannot release, I write it down, and after I burn it. When I feel ready, when I've cried it out, when I've thought about it, when I've looked at it, when I've talked to it. It's part of us, and they come here for us. They have a purpose of being here. Okay, so empty this cup, and when it's empty, then you can choose. Okay, with which emotion I want to fill up my cup of tea. Okay, what are the emotions that serve me now? That serve my purpose, that serve my project, that serve the person I want to be in my day. And then you choose. And same, write them down. I fill up my cup with generosity, with strength, with smile, you know, with all what you want to, how you want to show up, because you want to show up like that, not because people want to see that of you, not because you want to see, because it serves you. It serves your life. Then it serves your business. Then it serves the world, because the world is served when you are who you're meant to be and who you truly are. Okay, so that's the first pillar of resilience, intelligence, emotional intelligence. And I would say, let's start by awareness. Of course, there's 5 pillars in intelligence, emotional intelligence, but what is resilience? For strengthening this muscle, let us start with that. Very powerful. The second one also I learned from all these countries where people have nothing. They've lost everything, or they had never had anything. And you may live in some of these countries, and you may have lived these situations, but sometimes because when we have resources, when we're more wealthy, when we're more privileged economically, financially, then we forget about that. And I come back to Europe after 23 years outside. I come back to Europe and say, oh my God, all these resources, no? All this abundance, wow, fantastic. And at the same time, you say, wow, now in the crisis, when I hear people, I see they have forgotten that their first resource is here, is them. You are your first resource that no one can take. No, COVID-19 cannot break what I like to call, the inner diamond within. The things that we have within, our talents, our values, our ways of being, the imprints we mark in people's life every day through what we give, what we create, what we do as a job or as an activity, as a hobby, the smiles that we give, the energy, all who you are. COVID-19 cannot break that. Again, etymology, no? The diamond, it comes from the Greek word adamas. It means inquebrantable. You cannot break that. Cannot break it. So this is what you have. And these are your resources. So how to do that? How to reconnect with all what you have to manage this crisis and to prepare for what is after this lockdown. So all what you have to this muscle that is yours, it's your resources. I would like to invite you, take this CV this old CV. Some of you have not done a CV for 20 years or 10 years, or you have it recently updated. Take it. You take what you have and you're going to update it. But you're going to do an expanded CV. You're going to do a CV about all what you are. So first, I want you to reconnect with all these life experiences, these work experiences, all these studies, all these courses. I just want you to enjoy. You say, oh my God. And when the nasty little voice of self-judgment is going to come, look, only that you did. You could have finished your master. You didn't do the PhD. You say, thank you, my darling. But right now, I don't need you. Right now, I'm connecting with my resources. My resources, it's not what I don't have, or what I miss, or what I lack. My resources is what I have. And that nobody can take from me. So you take this CV, you look at all this experience, and you add your skills, your competencies, your achievements, your qualities. You put in words this thing that nothing can break. And then you read it and you embody it and you get excited with it. Okay, so that's your first resource. All external resources may withdraw. That's what you have. Okay. Now the third point, very important to strengthen this resilience, is we take again. We're talking. You are in the driving seat, and sometimes in our lives we've all experienced. We get into the passenger seat. No, in a relationship, in work, in crisis, because it's too painful. We feel overwhelmed and everything. Now, we strengthen that. Okay, intelligence, emotional intelligence. My resources. Okay, I take this driving seat, and I take this driving seat with action. Passivity kills us. That's why think about this relationship where you've been in the passenger seat and you've ended up in a crisis, actually, because it was not, or this job where you put yourself there on the side, how disempowered you felt. And that's how maybe you are feeling right now, or you have felt in other moments of the crisis, disempowered. So you need to drag yourself, needs a little kick in the butt, but you need to drag yourself to the driving seat. And how do you do that? By taking an action. Okay, a small action. Already it's an action, what you're doing here. You're being here, you're giving your time, you're taking the tools and then put them into action, validate. See if it works for you. Does not say because it works for others, it works for you. See what works for you, customize it to who you are and your tools that you know. Integrate that in what you already know and practice. Okay, there's not we in the oneness project, it's not about one truth. It's about different tools that are given to us, and some make sense for you right now, some are not necessary now, and that's okay. Okay, but take that action, because you need to remember what we mentioned before. COVID-19 is a circumstance. Any crisis in your life is a circumstance. It does not change your what. What is your big dream? What is your vision? What is your project? It does not change it. Why you want this to happen in your life or in your business or in your company, it does not change that. What change is how. That's the only thing. That's like, I was giving you the example of Afghanistan and Colombia. What the conflict was changed is the how, because maybe the security measures, because the needs of people are different, because the competencies that are different and needs to be, the timings are different. So yes, maybe your project is postponed, but you are the one deciding. Say, I want this, I want that, that's my vision. How? So in this how, you retake this expanded CV that you've written. Okay, that's all my resources. Oh my God, but I know. So many people after, these sessions we had on resilience and coaching and everything, and we're saying, oh my God, I didn't know I was so strong. Because we all have it, these muscles. Okay, the only thing we need to strengthen it, take awareness of that is here, and so we can activate it. So what is that? And then you say, okay, I want to do that. So you have your first resource. First, you look at your resource. And when I said that, do this exercise with your team. What is the inner resource that you have? And then what are the internal resources of the team? Okay. And how can everyone support the big project of the team by reconnecting with these inner resources? How each of the team contribute to this big project? That's how you can really be supportive and increase the resilience of your company or the company you work for right now or your organization. And then when you have that, you look at your house. So resource, inner resource, internal resource, and then some things you say, okay, not enough. What are the external resources that are required? This. And then you go for them. But haven't you do that all your life? Yes. Just here, the crisis obliges us to be more in awareness and doing more consistently. Okay, so the same, like I told you, it's no magic, it's muscle strengthening. So it's like the gym, and the cup, you will empty it and no, because also I told you, choose what you listen, who you listen to, and how you listen to, or what you watch. Because then sometimes the cup is full and you say, oh my God, that's not my emotions. These are the emotions of all the people around me. So protect also your cup of emotions from all the external thing. And it's okay, it's going to overflow again, okay? So I do the same. I embrace, I write them, I liberate them, I free them. Okay, and then I can get into reconnecting. What are my resources? Reread this CV, expanded CV, and review your action plan. The third point I want to see with you, and then I'm going to see in the chat. I'm not saying any questions. If you have some, you please write them, and please write them, or just put write them here so I can see. If not, I continue talking. There's no problem. Alors, the third thing I wanted to say to you is, and here I don't know, depending on the countries. Me, of course, I worked all my life in country with crisis, with severe crisis. So, I mean, people uncertainty is like a fact. So coming back to Europe, when I came back to Europe and here in the crisis, oh my God, the biggest suffering, I would say here at the moment for people and everyone is the uncertainty. Because in this, when we live in a privileged or country, or even in a country that has challenges in terms of development and poverty, but we live in a privileged area, or we are wealthy, or we have this comfortable life, it's normal that we get used to a number of certainty, and that's part of our life. So when suddenly they're blown out and they're removed from us, it's like, I can't live. And people are in deep suffering now because they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But nobody knows what's going tomorrow. And then you can see, I've heard that from many leaders, their main problem is they want to give certainty to their team, because out of love and because it was the way they were used to function. Give certainties. It was the way of having people comfortable and happy and everything. So it's a big trauma. And if you see some of the governments I'm seeing in Europe, they spend their time wanting to give certainties. The problem is that it creates more uncertainty because they have to contradict themselves every 2 days, because nobody can give any certainty of anything. So say, yes, Amélie, thank you very much. It's very helpful to manage uncertainty, what you're saying. Actually, you know, so for me, it was a little surprising. I mean, not that I don't love certainties. We all look for certainties. But look, for example, love relationship. No? We always look for the certainty that he or she will love me for the rest of her life. So what do? we do things that it's impossible to have certainty that someone will love you. It's impossible to have certainty about something or someone external. So what do we become jealous? We force the person to get married, or we make children. I mean, everything, all of strategies. Yeah, and we've all tried something, or more manipulative and everything to be sure this person is not going to leave me. But that's impossible, and that creates actually more uncertainty and more unhappiness. So there's this part of uncertainty. The best way to manage it is to, one, release the need for certainty. You can only give yourself certainty. You cannot expect certainty of what you cannot get certainty from. I mean, let us let go. You know, they cannot be. So cannot be. So we scream, we cry, but cannot be. Okay. So that's the one thing. Now, what I don't like is to say, okay, cannot be. I don't like the cannot be. I don't like the negation. So the thing is, how to transform a certainty into your ally, because what is uncertainty? Uncertainty provokes what? Stress. Okay. What is stress? Stress is energy. Okay. So when I was thinking about this thing of uncertainty, and I say, okay, I remembered an interview of Bruce Springsteen. I can tell you it was like many years back, like 15 years back or something, or more, or maybe 20 years back. And I was, in humanitarian aid. I was not at all in all that of, I was managing crisis, but I was not in coaching or speaking, all this stuff. So it was really reading an article of him. And I say, wow, he was saying, this guy, he was one of, he was filling up stadiums of tens of thousands of people. And he looked always so humble, so simple. So this, I could not imagine what I read. And he said that before going on stage, he was dying of anxiety, but with all kind of physical manifestation that I'm not going to get into details. And then he said, he decided one day, he said, okay, I cannot, because it's horrible. It's my passion. I live for that, for being on the stage. And then before I have all these things, I'm sick, I'm blah, blah, blah. So he said, now what he does, he transforms this stress in an energy that serves him. So he used this huge anxiety that he has to get power when he gets on the stage. And when I remember this this interview is when I started speaking. When I started speaking, I will tell you, of course, you stress. So speaking on a stage or on a webinar and everything, what happens? My manifestation of stress, and stress is normal. It's a sign that you care, that you want to give your best. So that's okay. Let's stop having it like a evil. But then my stress is that, let's say 30 minutes before, I'm blank. I don't remember, I think, almost my name, and I don't remember what I'm going to talk about. When it's my topic, when I've prepared it, when I've rehearsed it, 30 minutes before, I can't remember. You tell me what you're going to speak about, I don't know. So at the beginning, what I was doing, I was rereading my notes, rereading, and still it was like passing, no going. And I remembered this interview of Bruce Springsteen's, because at some stage I say, I cannot be, because I love that. And that's the way I want to give to people. But I cannot be like that, because it's a disaster. And I say the 30 minutes, but all the moments before, I cannot think about something else. If it's in the evening, I know I cannot in the day do anything else. Almost at thinking about what I want to say and everything. So I cannot. So what I decided to do, when the butterflies come, and especially when I stay blank, I say, wow, that's great, because today I stayed blank 35 minutes. So I'm going to burn the stage, going to be on fire, because I decided this stress is my energy. When I arrive 100%, 1000%. So it's the thing. So when the blank comes, and it's the stage, if it comes only 20 minutes, I say, hey, where's my blank? That has become my ally. So when my mind gets blank and I don't remember of what I'm going to speak about, I say, great, this is my fire. I've transformed this energy in my fuel to give all what I want to give myself. So when you feel this uncertainty, this overwhelming uncertainty, don't hesitate. Like it's the part of resilience. No, if it's overflowing, take the time to do this little exercise of embracing the emotions. If it's not too overwhelming, but it's just there, say, okay, how can I transform it? In my words, in my stuff. What is the energy I need for serving my purpose now? In this crisis, in this moment, when I have this anxiety for the work, I have this anxiety for me, what is the energy that I want? And then you look at your trigger, what is the uncertainty, what is the manifestation of distress? So you have butterflies, you have your throat, you have what is it? And when you have that, that's your trigger for your fire. But the kind of fire that serves you, I gave my example. Maybe you need a fire that is a little more calm. Because that's something that serves your purpose, what you want to be and what you want to do. Okay? So remember, driving seat. You are in the driving seat because you are the one who knows where you want to be. Never forget. So COVID on the way, what I said, you are in the driving seat, you're driving to where you want to drive. The only thing that COVID has changed is that maybe the way is like that. Or you have, I don't know what's the word in English, bifurcation. You know, when you have a change, they're doing works on the road, they send you a deviation, no? There's a deviation, that's all. Can be a huge deviation. Can be even that you have to stop sometime on this and you're going to have another way, but that's what it is. So you're the boss of your life, of your business, of your dream. And COVID is just a circumstance. Thank you very much. I see, I really like the part on building emotional muscles. Yes. More difficult is to manage anger, that freedom is taken and that people just want to rush back to previous life and do not think about what just happened as a wake-up call. I'm angry. Yes, I think we feel this anger and I understand it and I feel it sometimes. You know, I say, my God, they're not understanding. You know, and I'm European and I see what's happening in Europe and I get nuts. I say, how can we, with so many resources we have, so many everything, there's no, and so much arrogance that we don't go and look at how this country, how Africa is doing, how Asia is doing, how, you know, we're not looking at learning the lessons from countries that are more used to manage resources. Crisis without resources or very scarce resources. And there's so much. So yes, I get angry. And then, you know, the problem is that the anger is the same, is an energy that or we transform it or we need to release it because it burns us. So what I do when I'm angry like that, I say, okay, you cannot change people. I mean, we've all learned it the hard way, no? And again, love relationship for me is a beautiful example. When you have a doubt about something, you go and see your love life. How many times, or even now today, we're trying to change the husband, the wife, even the children, everyone, no? Or even your best friend, always. We want to change people. We cannot. So the thing is, okay, how do I model and how do I influence for people to change? I know it's easy to say, but I think it's the only way to transform this anger in energy. What I can do to change that in a constructive way, without judgment, because it's true, but people don't change if they feel judged. And people can change and can be influenced by another model, another perspective when they are listened, they feel listened. in their perspective without judgment. So that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, when of course the judgment comes with human beings, the anger, and then after, okay, release that, and let us listen, understand the perspective, and see how from the issue or the need that they have had, can we give them other ways and other solutions. It's a hard task, but it's possible. And I think it's our way for the future. What is changing? The circumstances, how we take it. Yeah, absolutely. This is the meaning we give. No, Viktor Frankl, and I'm going to leave you just after that, but Viktor Frankl, actually, you know, it's very interesting. I don't know if you know this book, Viktor Frankl, but I don't remember the title in English. He's very talented, a psychiatrist. He's and he wrote a book. He's been in Auschwitz. And it's impressive when you see the number of people who testified about their experience in Auschwitz. How many of them are psychiatrists? It's a huge number of the ones who write books and everything. And because I think when you live extreme circumstances, I mean, like Auschwitz, which probably the extreme that you can live, you have so much understanding of human psychology. And he says, human beings, we are meaning-making machines. Meaning-making machines. So everything is the meaning we're giving to things. So the right question to ask us is the meaning I'm giving to the crisis the meaning that serves me? And when the answer is no, okay, what is the meaning I want to give to this crisis? And it's not instantaneous, but it's, you know, it's also the repetition of asking the question and getting there. Thank you very much to all for being there. You know what I would like? I'm sorry, some people have gone, but can we just put on video and we take a photo? I take a screenshot. Yes. Can you all get on video? Yes. With a big smile. Awesome. Awesome. More can get on video? Yes. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I don't know if I'm getting everyone there, but I think I'm going to take another one. Okay, beautiful. So I would just like to thank all of you. Thank the Pranic Healing Foundation, the Inner Institute, the Inner Studies Institute, and the Supreme Energy, Supreme God, Mother Earth, Cosmos, Universe, whatever we relate to as, depending on our belief. I would like to thank each of us to be here, and thank all of us to be here, and each of us. Thank yourself, love yourself. And remember, you are more than COVID-19, much more. Bye-bye. I think we can remove the mics and just give us ourselves a clap.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hola.
Thank you very much. Hola. Adios.
Hola.
Adios.